Hi, I'm Clara Rose, and this is Influence Matters, the show where each week I share tips, tricks, tools, resources, hacks, whatever you want to call them, and sometimes special guests to help savvy influence builders just like you to strategically and intentionally build and cultivate their influence, because we know that is how we generate leads organically for our business, ministry, cause, or brand. And that is why we're here today. So before we jump into today's interview, I want to just say thank you to Rosedale Publishing, our sponsor. They work with professionals and entrepreneurs who want to publish a book. And if you are one of those people, they are the people to reach out to. So thank you, Rosedale, for sponsoring us. And then, of course, the fine folks over at Tampa Bay Multimedia and WeBeam TV, where I'm at today in the studio, for they truly make this show possible. So thank you, thank you. And if you are a regular viewer, you know that we usually start with a question of the week, but not today because we have a special guest instead. So, of course, we are right in the middle of a summer full of special guests for you. So, super fun for me and super informational and exciting for you, I know. So, I have a special guest today who is literally a rocket scientist. How many times have you said, oh, this isn't rocket science? But she really is a rocket scientist, and she's a fine art photographer as well. And I am super excited to have Beth Sheridan with me today. Are you there, Beth?
I'm here. Thank you.
There she is, my new friend, the rocket scientist. I feel special now that I have a friend who's a rocket scientist. So you literally work for NASA.
I do.
You literally. So tell us what you do at NASA, just because I think that's super cool.
Oh, thank you. So yes, I work in the Orion program. And so we are developing our next human space capsule that's going to take us back to the moon and then hopefully maybe on to Mars.
Wow. So you're an engineer?
I am.
You're okay. So what does that mean? What do you really do? Are you building stuff? Are you number crunchers? I mean, what is that you really do there?
Well, I have a couple of roles that I do. I am a configuration manager. That basically means that I have to know all the parts in the vehicle and how they're being used and where they're being used and be able to account for them. And then I also manage risk for the program. And so I have to kind of know, like, as issues are arising, how much risk are we taking on the vehicle? And so I manage that. And then I also do some cost estimating as well. So, pretty much everybody in this program has to be able to wear a lot of different hats. And so, I wear a lot of different hats.
And that's okay. And we're going to not talk about that the whole time, even though it's super cool that you're a rocket scientist. I want to talk just briefly about your trip to Nepal. Now, you were there for NASA, but tell us about that trip and what all you did while you were there.
Sure. So originally I went the first time for NASA. The second time I went for pleasure because I fell in absolute love with the country and the people. It was amazing. But the first time I went to speak about science and technology, engineering and math. It's called STEM. I had actually taken a lunar sample display over with me. And, there's only one museum there, Science Museum. And I went over as a guest for NASA. And I spoke to schools and students all around the country. And it was amazing. I I just fell in love with the people and the culture. It was beautiful. I had a couple of days off and did some photography while I was there on my few days off. And then I went back because I knew I had to go back and do more. It was just a stunning country.
Wow, what a cool adventure. Now, I know because you told me that you've studied under some really iconic names, or really in the photographic world under some big names, but you also did some study under some NASA photographers,
I have.
right? So
So,
what does a
yeah.
NASA photographer do?
Well, a NASA photographer, it's an interesting, very niche field in photography. So, as we do experiments, or as we're trying, maybe say, to document like our work, we're having to have photographers come in and take photos of everything that we're doing. And so we have a set of the most amazing photographers you can imagine. Some of them fly on airplanes, behind our astronauts as they're training. Some are training astronauts themselves to be able to take images of the Earth from the International Space Station, for example. They're an amazing group of people, and extremely talented.
So you have just this amazing wide, wide experience as far as education in photography. So did you formally go to school for this, or this is just a passion for you?
This is an absolute passion for me. It began when I was really, really young. My father was a photographer, not by trade, but by passion as well. And he would start taking photos of me when I was really little. And he'd love to have me tell stories. I'm very animated. And he'd love to have me tell those stories and then take photos of me telling those stories. And you could see just these imaginary worlds in my face as the photos unfolded. And it got me interested. It really sort of showed me that you could have a story told through a lens. And I was hooked from that early age on.
And so now you do that, right? You tell
I do. It's the hallmark of my photography, is telling a story through the lens. Be it a landscape or even a flower or a wildlife. I want to show the story through my lens.
Very cool. And your work speaks for itself. It's beautiful. Oh. You have a beautiful eye for things. I spent a little time on your website just looking at some of the pictures and thinking, wow, these are just really great perspectives on everyday things, right? Everyday things you might see, but you see them differently in your work. And that's amazing. That's definitely a talent. You have a gift. Now, does NASA let you do any photography for them, or?
No, I've never done any photography specifically for NASA. I've done some on my own while I was with NASA that NASA ended up using in some of their research. I was at the Ares 1X launch. That was a rocket that was a test rocket. And I was there for that launch and took some really fabulous photographs, and was there showing some of the folks my imagery while we were on the bus back on site. And they were amazed and asked if they could use it, contacted me later. And so I did give them my photographs.
Wow, that's amazing. So I totally see that you need a book, my friend. Right?
I do.
You need a book. You need to journal this journey that you've been on, but also what a great way to pull together like a coffee table book, or you just have a book in you. I just know you do.
I do.
Okay, so let's talk, before the time totally gets away with us, let's talk about how you're using this passion that you have, your passion project, you call it, your fine art photography. Tell us about that side of you.
Absolutely. So I created Beth Sheridan Photography, and originally it was because I have this innate passion to create. My rocket science is definitely, a dream come true. You can't work for, someplace like NASA with it not being a dream. But at the same time, I have this innate thing in me that says I have to be creative. And so this is not a side business for me. It is absolutely my passion project. I have to create. It's just in my DNA.
And I totally, as a creative myself, I totally understand that. Totally. I have to write. And I love all things creative, actually. I've even dabbled in photography, although that's not not my skill set there, but I do love any creative expression. So I totally understand that. Mm-hmm. But you have taken something that is, not a side hustle, right? It's
Right.
not a side business. It's a passion. So that's why you call it a passion project, right? But
Absolutely.
People can buy your art, correct?
Yes. Yes, they absolutely can. I mean, I do sell all of my work. I sell it on my website. I show it in galleries. I have a VIP art group on Facebook where I offer really special, discounts and events and art parties and all kinds of fun. So yes, it is a business, no doubt.
Right.
At the same time, it's my passion.
So it doesn't feel like a business because you just love it so much.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Fine art photography, that's really, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is my perception, that's really photography that you make into fine art that goes in your home or your office, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's a photograph that's been constructed, and created in the vision of the artist. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's been manipulated in some way. For some fine art photographers don't manipulate their photographs in any way. I do. I actually create my photographs into my vision through use of software, and I literally will paint just like an artist. And I do it layer by layer in my software to help bring out the details. Pretty much all of my images are 3 to 30 different images that I put together in different ways to be able to get the focus and the detail and the dimensionality and the color and everything that I want to show up in my image. Wow. And so, to me, it's very much just like painting.
It's art.
Of course, if you gave me a paintbrush and a canvas, I couldn't do it to save my life. But give me software and my laptop and a photograph,
and you're good.
I can create.
So you're taking these digital photographs, and then in your mind, you decide this is what you want it to look like. This is how you want it to feel, and then you use software to enhance it till you get the feel and the look that you're after.
Absolutely. I want my viewer, my collector, to feel like they're right there with me, looking at this beautiful scene. And I kind of see the world very vividly. Everything to me is in beautiful color. And so I often, try to bring that out in my images. And, I studied, a lot of the great painters, especially the Hudson School, River School painters. And they tend to do landscapes and things in kind of larger than life color. And I find that to be how I see the world. And so I try really hard to kind of bring that feel and emotion of the grandeur of our nature and the beauty of our landscapes to my art.
Wow. Makes me want to do art. So if somebody goes onto your website and finds a picture that they love, is it, do you mat it and frame it and all of those things, or is it on canvas? How does it come to them when they purchase it?
So you can get my art in a variety of different mediums. Okay. So I offer, just a print, meaning a fine art paper print, and I only use the best of fine art papers. And then you can also get it on metal or acrylic or wood, and whatever medium is going to make the space that you have feel the best, right? And I'm happy to walk a buyer through that process of choosing what's going to work best for their home environment or their office. And you can contact me directly through my website if you struggle to choose, or you can shop on your own and just pick it out.
And just say, this is what I'd like. So start by picking the photo that you're interested in, and then there's options for them to choose the
size and the medium.
Size and the medium. Okay. And then, so do you do matting and framing as well? Or
I
is
do.
that left? Okay.
I have that options as well.
Okay. And that's like I'm sure the acid-free and all all that.
Absolutely. Archival ink, acid-free paper.
Super important.
And I can never say the name correctly. I believe it's Henkenmule is the name of the paper. It's basically the best paper in the industry. And I don't want my photographs to end up like our family vacation photographs from the 60s and 70s,
right,
where everything looks, yellow and orange.
Right.
I want my image to last generations. And so I go through an entire process to make sure that my images are going to last.
It's truly fine art that you're putting on your wall. Very cool. Now, do you ever and we haven't talked about this, so I may be just stepping out there on this. Do you ever do commissioned work? If someone says, hey, I'm looking for X?
I do. If I have, just because I have images on my website, doesn't mean that that's the only set of images I own. So sometimes I don't, from a commission perspective, I already have images that somebody's going to want. You just have to contact me and we can find some. But if I don't, then yes, people can contact me and say, hey, I really was wanting imagery for a specific thing from a specific place, and I will take a commission to go out and do that.
Very cool. But you have lots. So if someone says, I'm looking for, redwood forest, or I'm just pulling that out of the air. I don't know. But if they say, I'm looking for this specific thing, here's the application, I'm putting it in my office, here's what my office looks like, then you can work with them directly to find some pieces that will work
for them. Absolutely.
Very cool. Well, you're obviously brilliant. Right? And a creative, what an amazing combination. So I don't know whether I'm more excited about your fine art photography or the fact that you're a rocket scientist, because I think those are very cool.
Thank you.
You've just blended those beautifully together. So where can they find you besides, and you mentioned it a bit ago, but just because people are watching this, they're going to need to grab a pen, they can go to your website, which is Beth Sheridan, correct?
Correct.
Where else can they find you?
So again, I have a fine art photography group. It's a VIP group on Facebook, and it's public. You can find me there. It's Beth Sheridan Photography.
Okay.
And then you can also find me on Instagram. I'm Beth A. Sheridan on Instagram.
Okay.
And so those are the best places. You can also find me on LinkedIn. I mean, if you don't do any of those, you can find me on LinkedIn.
Okay.
And that's Beth Sheridan Photography as well.
Okay. All right. So pretty much everywhere you're on social media, it's about your photography.
It is.
I suppose there's not
now,
much need for NASA.
You can find me under my full name, Elizabeth Sheridan, on LinkedIn as well. And that's got my full bio of both my rocket science and my,
That's about NASA and that. Thinking stuff over there.
Yeah.
Okay.
That stuff. Yeah,
that fun stuff. Wow. So is there anything else that you'd like to share with us about this passion project that you've got going while we still have a couple minutes left?
Absolutely. So 2 things real quick. I've got a summer art extravaganza coming up this weekend in my VIP art group. So if you're interested in that, head over there and check it out. And then also, I have art in Art Machine Gallery in Houston at the Silos at Sawyer Yard. And so you're always welcome, if you happen to be in Houston, to go by and check out my art personally.
Wow. So are you ever there? Do you pop into the gallery at all?
I am. I'm there at least on the second Saturday of every month.
Okay.
And so you can come and meet me personally there.
Okay. So if somebody purchases something, can they pop in and you'll sign it or anything fun like that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Happy to do that.
Very fun. Wow. Well, I am not in Houston. I'm in Florida. But if I'm ever that direction, I definitely will make sure to stop in and have a look at your work. I think it's really beautiful. Um,
Thank you.
Tell me what ways, because of course the show is all about influence, tell me what ways you are growing your influence in this exciting new industry for you.
Well, I've been growing my influence in a lot of different ways, especially recently. I've done a couple of various media calls, yours being one of them. I've been on a podcast called Art Talk recently. That's
Ooh.
another. I have been on social media pretty heavily recently, and that Art VIP group is one of the ways that I've been really growing my influence. That art group is really vibrant. I only started it maybe a month ago, and we already have almost 800 people in that VIP group,
Wow.
and it's growing really fast. So it's a lot of fun. It's extremely active. My Facebook page, my Facebook business page, has over 3,400 people on it. So it's growing as well, and so I use that for influence as well.
So are these other artists or people who are just drawn to your work? What's
Both.
happening on Facebook?
Both. So a lot of them are artists, a lot of them are collectors. So
Ah,
it creates
okay.
a really fun and vibrant community.
Very cool. I will have to definitely check that community out. I'm not an artist in the same sense that you're an artist, but I'm always looking to interact with other creatives because we just have that similarity, right? We think kind of alike.
Absolutely.
So, very cool. Well, I surely appreciate you being on the show today, taking time out of your busy rocket scientist world to come be on my show. I appreciate your time. Really quick, one more time, tell us the best place to reach out to you if one of our viewers or many of our viewers want to reach out to you. Where's the best place to reach you?
I would say to reach me, the fastest and easiest way would be on my email,
On your email.
Beth
Okay, do tell.
at BethSheridan.com.
Beth at BethSheridan.com. Okay, so they can just shoot you an email. Hopefully, you don't get
Absolutely.
thousands of people all at one time crashing your
I
email
would love
system,
it.
but
I would love it.
you would love it.
Please do.
Okay, then there you go. Everybody, reach out and say
Go
hello to
for
Beth.
it.
Tell her how amazing her work is. I'm sure she'd love to connect with you. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I look forward to meeting up with you on social media and seeing more of your work.
Thank you.
All right, we'll see you again sometime.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Wasn't she cool? A real live rocket scientist. I'm
Thank you.
just in awe. I think that's so cool. Brilliant woman, beautiful, beautiful fine art photography that she is putting out into the world. I love that piece of her, that creative piece of her. Okay, so as we wrap up the show today, I want to talk about the coming soon. If you've been here each week, you already know that coming soon is the Brainstorm and Blueprint Your Book 6-week group coaching. And if you are not yet in this group, I encourage you to shoot me an email and say, yes, Clara, I'm interested. hello@clararose.com so I can let you know as soon as the doors are open, the gates are open to take those first few slots for this first 6-week coaching program. So in case you're unfamiliar with it, the Brainstorm and Blueprint Your Book starts with your brainstorm, which gets all of your content, your idea for your book out of your head or out of your notebook or wherever it is that you're storing those little scraps of information that is going to become your book one day. If it's time, this is where you need to be. We will pull all that information together and we are going to build a blueprint, which is the outline for your new book. Now, that does two things for you. First, every time you sit down to write, you know exactly what you're going to talk about. Second, it gives you a roadmap to follow that keeps you on track as you build your book. So no more sitting down at your computer to write and staring at that screen with nothing to say. No more writing like a crazy person and then figuring out that, oops, I went in the wrong direction. And no more writing yourself into a corner. No more writer's block. No more wondering, what am I supposed to be talking about now? We take care of all of that in the Brainstorm and Blueprint process. This gives you a roadmap to follow as you write your book. When we start the 6 weeks, we're going to start with pulling all that stuff out of your head. And by the end of that 6 weeks, you're going to have a completed blueprint to write your book by and a plan for publishing your book. To talk about all the different things you need to know about publishing, self-publishing, and hybrid publishing so that you are making good informed decisions for yourself about your book as it comes out to the world. And then we're going to follow up those 6 weeks with ongoing support so that you can actually get the writing done in a group environment where we're all working toward the same cause. Great to have some support from other people who are on the same journey that you are. So, ask yourself, am I ready? Is this my time to get my book done? If you are ready to create that book that's going to be a tool that you use to gain influence, and that influence is going to create a sustainable business, ministry, cause, brand, whatever you're building, this is the place for you. I invite you to be a part of the 6-week coaching program. Hop on over to clararose.com, of course, and see what other things we have going on aside from the brainstorm and blueprint that's coming up. If you already have a book and you're thinking, my next step, and I know Claire's always talking about this, is to get out on stages with my book and start spreading my message to the world, you can hop on over to clararose.com and find out how I can help you write your signature speech so we can get you on those stages. And then, of course, there is the Influence Matters course that you can hop into, which helps you write, speak, and lead to generate more influence for your business, ministry, cause, or brand in a strategic and intentional way. Whew. Lots going on in our world. Thank you for showing up once again for another Friday with me. I hope you're enjoying the summer of guests. Every week this summer, you'll have a brand new guest coming to you right here, and we'll get back to some training in the fall. But for now, we're just going to enjoy a summer of wonderful guests teaching us wonderful new things. So I will see you next week, same time, same place. Thanks so much for joining me. Take care.